Hey, welcome back to Pop Culture Graveyard. I am Hollis, and this week we are going to be celebrating the 50th anniversary of the landmark Jamaican film, The Harder They Come. It is hard to believe it's been 50 years since this movie, the very first full-length Jamaican feature, was released. And I'm going to be discussing both the film and the amazing soundtrack album. So please join me for a celebration of the Jamaican juggernaut alliteration of cinema, known as The Harder They Come. Sit tight and listen keenly while I play for you all a brand new musical biscuit. Before we get going, I just want to thank my latest patron. Thank you, Paula. I really appreciate you jumping on board, and I very much look forward to getting to know you, Ms. Hannon. If you are enjoying the content that I'm bringing you week to week and would like to help support the show, please consider joining my Patreon. It's at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard. And thanks. I first fell in love with The Harder They Come. I think I was about 13 or 14, which is the perfect age for this movie to hit you. I believe I rented it from Kim's Video. I could not understand a line of dialogue, and yet I still understood everything that was going on in the story. I rented it so many times it made sense to buy my own copy, and so that's just what I did. On VHS, of course, given how damn old I am, and I played this to death, but it's still in really good shape, which tells you how careful I was with it. That's very fitting. It's at the very end of the film. I watched the hell out of this. Anyway, I'm not going to hold up a VHS the whole time. I look old enough. As I say, it's the 50th anniversary of this film. It was released this week on February 8th, 1972. This film was directed by Perry Henzell. He wrote the film along with Trevor D. Rohn, and it stars the dynamic Jimmy Cliff in his young, beautiful prime as a character named Ivanhoe Martin, nicknamed Ivan. Jimmy plays a country boy who goes to the big city of Kingston, gets his ass handed to him on many levels as he tries to make it as a singer, but finds himself up against gangster record label owners, corrupt payola-accepting DJs, crooked politicians, a corrupt police force, and even fellow drug dealers who you just can't trust. Jimmy goes from naive wannabe singer to gun-toting rude boy gangster in a very short amount of screen time. Yet it is all very believable. Jimmy's character of Ivan is loosely based on Vincent Ivanhoe Martin, a Jamaican gangster from the 40s who became a sort of folk hero. He later gained the nickname Ryging, which in Jamaican patois loosely means raging. Jimmy's character in the film ends up meeting the same fate as the real Ivanhoe when he is gunned down by the police. This film did not help with Jamaican tourism. Nonetheless, it is a fascinating watch, no matter who you are. I rewatched it recently for the first time in a very long time, and I feel a lot different about Ivan. In my youth, I was like, this poor guy, man, give him a break. He can't catch a break. Give him a break. Now, in my old age, I'm like, dude, go back to the country. Nobody told you could be a singer. Nobody owes you anything. You better pay for that mango. So it was a rude awakening. But it's still a great film. This film is The Jazz Singer meets Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid. This film ended up being released in America under the auspices of New World Pictures, which is the company run by Roger Corman. Corman was a genius, of course, and there was nobody better at the time for independent distribution. The original poster for The Harder They Come features the slogan, "Infinitely more intelligent than Last Tango in Paris." That should be on every movie poster. It is an evergreen. As I said earlier, this film is the real deal, featuring actual Jamaican life as it was never seen before. And these characters are speaking in their own native Jamaican patois. They filmed in real places with real people. And my favorite part of that are the crowd shots. For every great actor who is totally in the moment and really putting out great character development, you get 2 or 3 people in the shot who are just standing there like this, watching the camera like a hawk, because it's so foreign to their environment. This was the first time Jamaicans actually saw themselves up on the screen. And all these years later, everything on the screen still rings true. And that includes inside the music business. You see legends such as Leslie Kahn, who is in his element sitting behind the tape console as the recording engineer. My favorite cameo is by Prince Buster. Yes, that Prince Buster, who was immortalized by Madness in the song The Prince. Anyway, Prince Buster, of course, plays a DJ at a club. and he utters the immortal words, "Sit tight and listen keenly while I play for you all a brand new musical biscuit." I know you have heard that sampled a number of times. Big Audio Dynamite used it, the Beastie Boys used it, so many people used it. This movie was such an inspiration to an awful lot of bands who loved reggae. And when the punk movement got going, this was the favorite movie of a number of punks, including The Clash, The Slits, and on down the line. Paul Simonon loved the movie so much that it gets name-checked in The Guns of Brixton, the song he wrote, which was the purest reggae song The Clash ever wrote. It features the lyrics, "You see he feels like Ivan, born under the Brixton sun. His game is called survivin', at the end of the harder they come." That's pretty damn cool. Jimmy Cliff repaid the favor in 2011 by doing a brilliant cover of Guns of Brixton, which I'll link to below. By the way, that whole Sacred Fire EP, which was produced by Tim Armstrong from Rancid, is amazing. Tim played Rick Rubin to Jimmy's Johnny Cash as he tried to relaunch Cliff's career, and it is a great little EP. Anyway, as I said, when The Harder They Come came out, it was the only feature-length Jamaican film there is. And we have come so far, 50 years later, that it is now my second favorite Jamaican film. My favorite Jamaican film is Rockers, which has a stellar soundtrack as well. So if you end up loving what I tell you about The Harder They Come, and you want to explore it further, see Rockers. Both The Harder They Come and Rockers are both streaming right now on Tubi, so you might want to check those out. And trust me, you're going to want to put these subtitles on, at least until you get the feel for the patois. But let's talk about the soundtrack from The Harder They Come. To see the rest of this week's episode, please join my Patreon at patreon.com/popculturegraveyard.